Cupcake Kami-sama back here. Welcome to another video and the 6th installment of the Advanced Coordinating series. This is an important one as it marks the first one that had been suggested by one of you, and not something that I had in mind when I started this series. It's so humbling and rewarding to know that others value my opinions enough to want to hear my take on more topics, that these videos and posts are helping some of you out there. Really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for this. Seeing as the last Advanced Coordinating installment was somewhat of a heavier topic, it seemed appropriate to balance that out with something easier to digest and something that, as a community, we already concern ourselves a lot with: colours. So much has already been said about colours in Lolita fashion. Countless blog posts, videos, comments, including some of mine. One I'll link above, while the rest you'll find in a blog post. But once you actually look at it, it's mostly aimed at newbie Lolitas. Again, including a lot of what I've done. But there's so much more to using colours in your coordinate than just finding matching ones and sandwiching two within an outfit. That's why this Advanced Coordinating installment will go into Colours 201 if you wish, to build on the Colours 101 that you already have. It will borrow much from my own experience as a colour rule breaker, which I'll encourage you to try, though of course you don't have to. Still, I hope that hearing my take on colours in a Lolita coordinate will enable or inspire you to try something new yourself, or to free yourself of whatever pressure you may have felt under when it comes to that. But before I lay it all out, I would love it if you subscribed to my channel and clicked the bell button next to it. This will make sure that you are up to date with my irregular upload schedule, whilst also supporting me with motivation to create more Lolita fashion related videos to add to the ones I've already done. Right, I realised that making the jump from team colour matching to team coordinating requires a bit of bravery. For those who would like an in-between step to help them get there, an easy introduction into the world of Colours 201, I say this: do not underestimate the impact that an unusual, uncommon, or simply unexpected colour can have. By picking a colour for your coordinate that isn't what we see a lot of, even if you stick to the same technique of sandwiching it with another one, you can create the impression of being more experienced at coordinating. As long as you pull it off, that is. So don't get your shades too wildly off and have enough of them to make the choice clearly intentional, etc. And the second example from the video about intentionality is a good one to see what I mean by pulling it off versus, well, not. This is also where building your wardrobe in sets of builder pieces becomes useful, as it will allow you to do just that. For people who find matching colours to be their comfort zone, this will be an easier start into diving into deep waters. Plus you can have lots of fun with the colour theory here. Check in not just matching colours, but the contrasting and complementary ones too for new combinations. I understand that people like to hold on to the safety blankets that are our comfort zones, particularly in something like Lolita fashion where the emphasis on the rules is so big already. But this is also precisely the reason why when you get it right with an unusual colour, it makes you look more experienced. Because hardly anyone else has tried that, and yet here you are, trying something new and making it work so well. Whether that really is experience in coordinating talking, or just being lucky and finding the right items in your colour of choice, no one need ever know unless you spill the beans. To me, this is a point that's best made using one of those prints everybody and their mom seems to own, which, out of what I own, is Violet Fane's Otome Nostalgia. It's been practically an instant hit, and rightly so, which means that from the moment the first pre-orders shipped, we saw dozens of all kinds of cords with all the cuts and colorways. Red and white are colours that work with all of them, so of course plenty of those use those two colours, including my own first proper outing of this dress. It happened to fit the Christmas spirit too, but first and foremost, it's an easy, foolproof colour combination both for my own wardrobe and for this print. Yet, as cute as that is, as many variations as I could do with different cuts in the same colour scheme, it didn't get me quite as excited as when I got to wear my Otome Nostalgia skirt with dark green, another colour I am very fond of. And I mean, excited to the point of being willing to overheat in how unseasonal the outfit was when I wore it, but I still had to wear it. Excited. Because the unexpectedness of this dark green instantly make this cord stand out. Both of those cords follow a very similar formula. The colour comes mostly from the cardigan. We have neutral coloured legwear with a coloured lace-up design. They're both keeping accessories to a minimum for reasons mostly determined by occasion rather than anything else. And yes, both of them introduced the colours in the same places, using the same techniques to conceal some of the slight shade mismatches. Nevertheless, thanks to this one choice, this one colour that we hadn't expected to see with this print, the green cord makes it look as if I know something about coordinating that others don't, when that's not really the case compared to the red and white outfit. But this is only step one, the easy step. If I had a pound for every time I say that colour matching is easy, the trick is to coordinate, or in its less polite version, that colour matching is for the weak, I'd have considerably less need to save up for Brando. This isn't meant to insult anyone or to be taken personally, but to draw attention to the fact that finding things in the exact same colour is far more about luck than skill. And that skill is what you need to create a good looking outfit. Luck comes and goes, but skill can be learned and practiced and mastered. But if that doesn't quite sway you to my way of thinking, then I'd like to remind you of the dress. Yes, that viral dress from 2015. Why? Because it showed us that our very own eyes can deceive us, as well as how much things like screens affect how we see things. For a Lolita outfit, this means things like colours looking to be perfect matches on a photo when they're not quite so in real life, and vice versa. And that's something that you can use to your advantage. This is often why we coordinate colours through sandwiching them. Not just because it's a balanced way of doing so, but because the separation of the same colours hides shade differences within the realm of plausible deniability, like those with similar shades and undertones, etc. Especially if the cord is there to be on camera, for a photo, TikTok, flat lay, whatever, then don't fret too much over things that may turn out to not matter at all. You can always do a quick camera test, casually throw your planned outfit onto your bed or floor, then point a camera at it. You really may be surprised how much the camera changes. And to convince you of this further, here is a cord from April 2020 using Angelic Pretty's Crystal Dream Carnival JSK. I remember that this cord was once complimented on the colour matching of the greys in particular, and as nice as it is to be complimented on anything, I couldn't help but laugh at the time because the greys are literally two different colours. What reads as a grey blouse and grey socks on this picture are in fact grey blouse and lavender socks. You can see the difference when looking at these separately. You can see it when looking at them side by side. In this cord, however, with the camera doing its thing and the rich navy further separating the two, nope, not at all. And to be honest, from what I remember, in person the effect was pretty much the same. How? Because despite being different colours, they have the same cool undertones and a very similar degree of saturation, or desaturation in this case. So they end up working as one. If that doesn't convince you that maybe your pinks not matching perfectly isn't the end of the world if you coordinate cleverly, then I'm not sure if anything could convince you to at least try. By the way, if you're enjoying the advanced coordinating video series so far, then I would really appreciate if you clicked like on this video. It lets YouTube know that this is the sort of content that you would like to see more of and that others might like it too. And it's a completely free way of supporting the work that I do. Since I've been escalating the Colours 201 advice in difficulty, I've left the trickiest one for last. This next bit is deep into advanced coordinating territory, not just because one needs a well-curated wardrobe of the appropriate pieces to pull it off, but also because of the need to really have those basics of coordinating Lolita fashion absolutely nailed down. If you're still having to consciously think about the whys or mentally stick to a tick list to ensure that you get your chord right, then you wouldn't have enough energy left to add this too. However, once you are confident and can trust yourself to whip up a solid coordinate on instinct, you should have the space to free up the creativity and the lateral thinking that will allow you to focus on the overall vision of the outfit and not obsess over tick box perfect color balance. Of course, we're still talking about Lolita fashion, so you will have to give some consideration to color balance. You'll know that you're ready when you don't have to actually think about it for it to be there. What I'm saying is that with enough intentionality and a clear, identifiable vision, there is a certain leeway for things such as color balance without detracting from the overall chord being successful. In fact, I would say that if you're putting together an outfit with a very specific intention, a theme or a reference, then executing that vision will rank above color balance in Lolita fashion as we traditionally and typically think of it. If my explanation sounds vague, it's because we've entered the realm of really abstract concepts. So hopefully the following chord examples will clarify what I mean. Here we have two chords with Meta's bubble bath skirt and sacks. Despite what my wardrobe is like on paper, and in no small part thanks to what bane of my existence Saks Blue is, this skirt is one of the handful of items that I sometimes struggle to coordinate. The shades are just enough different from the other things that I own that my easy and perfectly color balanced coordinating options are pretty limited. And although it is tiring to be cornered into a position where I either rewear what I've done or am forced to think outside the box with the skirt, it can yield some really fun results. The first time I wore it in September 2019, I stuck to something fairly casual and relatively safe for me. Don't get too distracted by the patterned top. This is in essence a very basic coordinate, and you could literally grab one of those chord checklists and find that it fits to the T. It was an outfit that I knew would work and used most of the items that I know are a great color match. On the other hand, we have this chord from February 2021. And although it is very clearly, very visibly imbalanced when it comes to colours, it's no less of a successful chord than the other one. How? Because the priority in this one was channeling the vision first, and nailing that down compensated for any mismatched shades. The 80s, 90s cool kid concept with some pop and casual elements is instantly recognisable. Except for the top, which FYI is a pyjama top, and the socks, the colours are all over the place and none of them are a real match. What makes the concept so clear here is the combination of carefully selecting the cuts, a denim jacket, novelty wedges, a t-shirt, with some intentional tweaks, rolling up the jacket sleeves and keeping it open, tucking the t-shirt into the skirt pretty loosely so that there is a bit of overhang, the hair and makeup styling, bright lipstick and twin buns with a fringe, and the choice of accessories, mismatched bow hair ties, patches on the jacket, the bracelet. All of these ensure that the idea reads across as intentional. And whilst it is possible to argue that the saturated colours on the bows mirror the saturated colours on the shoes, that's completely coincidental and entirely secondary. Without executing the concept right, the accidental/intuitive mirroring of some of the shades would not be enough to make this into a cohesive outfit that's still recognizably Lolita in however casual a form. Those are my three biggest pieces of advice when it comes to stepping up your coordinating game through the use of colors. Ultimately, it's up to you how much you're comfortable to push the boat out and what would suit your desired style best. There's nothing wrong with sticking to what you know works for you. And there's also little point in breaking away from the tried and tested things like the sandwiching technique if it's solely for the point of being a rebel. Nonetheless, I would love to see Lolitas be more adventurous with how they use colours in their coordinates, to take a tiny bit of courage from this video and apply it to whatever colourful experiment is trying to break free from their imagination. There's a lot that you can do both within the comfort zone of what you already know, like sandwiching a less prominent colour from the print within your outfit, as well as outside of it, like playing with the wider colour theory and getting inspired by the contrasting colours and not just the complementing ones. Colours are one of those things that's so fun to play with because of how visual it is, but you do have to play with it, practice and experiment in order to get comfortable, unless you already find yourself having an eye for colour, which isn't uncommon at all. Lots of people coming from a visual arts background will have that already, so for them the focus may be more on honing the core coordinating skills first. In case this hasn't been obvious in this video so far, I am totally the sort of person who loves seeing people be adventurous with their colour combinations and who try things that are even a little bit different in that regard. This is why one of my biggest inspirations when it comes to coordinating colours in Lolita is at Reckless Rave. She's been wearing Lolita fashion for a while, something that's obvious both in how extensive her wardrobe is, in every sense of the word, and in her confidence to pull out the unexpected colour combinations in her looks. And she seems to have practically the entire rainbow at her disposal, and crucially, once you look carefully, a lot of it is through inexpensive builder pieces, off-brand items, inexpensive Chinese brands, handmade accessories like bracelets, etc. Whilst her cords are predominantly on the simpler and more wearable side, very rarely veering towards the extremes of OTT, she does wear every major substyle, and seeing her push the boat out with colours in every single substyle has given me tons of ideas. If you are also someone aspiring to have this sort of range of options in terms of substyle, colours, wardrobe size, what have you, as Reckless Rave does, then you cannot do it without becoming best friends with Miss Patience first, or winning a lottery. Though even then, you might have to invite Miss Patience over sometimes, since not every colour is easy to find straight away in any Loliable form. But I would suggest that you keep your eyes open, because in my experience, some of the best colour matches come from the most unexpected places. And that is all that I have to say on the matter of Colours 201 for Lolita fashion. This might be the first video and blog post specifically tackling that, rather than repeating the novice advice regarding coordinating colours in Lolita fashion. So if you found this but are yet to build your first coordinate, or don't yet trust yourself to put a solid Lolita outfit subconsciously rather than consciously, I would suggest that you wait before trying most of the tips that I've just talked about. It is important to walk before you run, and I promise that if you walk with your heart open to the constructive advice offered by others around you, you'll be able to start running in no time. Coordinating is a skill which anyone is 100% capable of learning, which is also why I've been doing this advanced coordinating video series. If you found anything enjoyable and or useful in this video, I would love it if you left a like, a comment or subscribed. Interacting with you in the comments is what keeps this series going and growing. You never know, maybe it will be your idea or something you said that will inspire another one of these. You can also support me either with a tip via Ko-fi or by becoming a patron. Patrons on the $2 a month tier get 1 week early access to every single video that I upload, while patrons on the $1 a month tier get early access to every single blog post that I publish. So if you're here specifically for the advanced coordinating series, either will let you get all of that advice before it goes public for everyone. And seeing as I've already mentioned my blog, make sure to check that out too. It's Cupcakes and Unicorns, where I keep lots more Lolita fashion related content, both serious and less serious. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye!